Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is not necessarily the video that I thought we would be making. I really hoped that we'd be able to post a video of us starting the build on our G80 M3 way before we ever thought about getting the E92 back on the road. But with that being said, things change and life throws some curveballs at you. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get this E92 M3, it's a 2008, back on the road. But before we do that, we're going to fully restore it. So some backstory. We picked this up in 2017, I believe April, late March? May. I'm going to say April. I'm going to call you out on that. I think it was late April was when we actually took delivery of the car. Anyway, 2017, and I made the biggest mistake that anyone can do with an E92 M3, and I daily drove it. I want to say the week after I got it, I drove it to Canada and back. Bad idea. You can't do that with this car. High maintenance Sunday car, or a couple times a week, you can't put daily driven miles on it. So now fast forward to 2020, I want to say the spring of 2020. During COVID, I was driving the car late at night, not on the highway, local roads, and all of a sudden it went bonkers. Drivetrain malfunction, engine power reduced, check engine light, stuttering, shaking, misfiring, backfiring. Engine bay started to smoke and smelled like fuel, and I had white smoke enter the cabin. So I was like, wow, this is an insult. 30 seconds from home, I'm not going to tow it. I drove it home, parked it in the driveway for like 2 years. Also a bad idea without a car cover. Got so busy, it's just one of those things where you don't want to leave a car like this outside with no car cover. Now fast forward to last year, we towed it to the shop, and it sat right there in the corner. You may have seen it in some of the shots under a gray car cover. Now we decided to get it back on the road, but there's only one way that we can really cut this cookie, and that's going to involve a full restoration. So I'm going to start off with a quick intro shot on, I guess, the condition of, you know what, let's walk around this way real quick. So most of what you see is purely cosmetic as far as dings, rock chips, you know, there's a lot of swirl marks in the fender. So story for a different video, never buy a car from a used car dealer. All right, like those little mom and pop Jerry's Auto Sales, no offense, Jerry, stay away from them because you don't know what you're getting, and in their defense, they might not know either. Picked up this car at BMW of Wilmington, 82,000 miles. So it's a 2008. It had 82.5 when I picked it up. I believe the guy's name down there was Tom. Tom was awesome. I said, hey, do we know if the rod bearings were done? He said, yes, they were actually done at a performance facility in North Carolina called BPC. Which is a rather large facility. They're well known down there, so I felt confident in the job that they did. I phoned them. They said, yes, we have an invoice for that VIN number. We did do rod bearings. So trailed the car up. It was in an accident in the front. I'll get to that in a second, which I was okay with, and I even spoke to Tom over at BMW about, hey, there's no cowls. Someone had the BMS cabin air filters, but there was no cowls, and he said, you know what, I'll throw it in for you. Or I think he valued whatever that amount for those covers were, and took it out the final price of the car. So the carbon roof is destroyed. It's going to be a really hard shot here. We don't have a softbox. We don't have any good lighting in the shop yet because we're too damn busy to buy anything. But you can see actually right here, I'll let her focus real quick. We have an area right here where it's chipped and it's starting to eat away. And because I made the horrible mistake to leave this car outside without a car cover, the sun ate through the clear coat and it's yellow. There's another corner in the back where it's starting to pit, and it's starting to actually, it cracked and made a hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this roof out completely. Take this carbon roof off, and we're going to throw it in the garbage. Our body guy recommended the possibility that he'd be able to at least fix it insofar as painting it. We don't want to do that. We do want to retain the carbon fiber finish. So we're going to cut this roof out. All right, there's a bunch of rivets. There's an adhesive. We are going to have to take the front glass off, the rear glass off. It's a tedious process. It's like 8 hours straight, non-stop, with a special tool, reciprocating tool, to basically remove that adhesive and then drill out each individual rivet and obviously drop the headliner. So with that being said, we're going to source a brand spanking new carbon fiber roof. We don't know what brand we're going to go with, but it will be brand new. If we take a look at the interior, again, this is going to be tough with the lighting, but you can take a look. I believe this is palladium silver, right? I want to say it's palladium. Obviously, the armrest we can get redone, but for the most part, the seats are in really good condition. The interior is in really good condition. The carpet's mint. The door cards are not too bad. and it doesn't have that classic E9X problem where the door pulls on the inside start to get gooey. So that's a plus. It's a manual, by the way, 6-speed manual. Now here's where things get a little interesting. I was actually smacked from behind at an intersection. It was a triangle, so the person that hit me was wrong. Just 30 miles an hour, boom. I'll B-roll a shot of what the car looked like. This entire area got smacked in. Now, at the time, I took it to a body shop that didn't do good work. So with that being said, there are some alignment issues we have here with the rear bumper. As you can see, it just doesn't line up, which I wasn't a fan of. Now, oh, and also here, you can actually see they didn't do a good job painting it. It started to chip and crack. So again, very tough to find a good body shop, but we're not going to worry about it with who we have restoring the body and painting this car, which we'll get to in a second. Here's the big problem that I had. Now, this is 2019, end of 2019, possibly early 2020. I had a problem where the car wouldn't start. I actually had to tow it where it was parked because I could not get the car to start, and it had all the classic symptoms of a starter. So I actually went ahead, I got a starter. Not an easy job to do on this V8. Replace the starter, guess what? Same problem. Nothing. So now we went deeper into our diagnosis, and we found that intermittently at the front, our B+, we only had, sometimes we had 3 volts, no volts, 12 volts rather. It didn't make any sense. And when the car did start one time, the alternator was good. So it kind of threw me for a loop. Traced all the way back on our battery positive cable.
But wait, we also thought it was Pro actually.
We thought it was, but it wasn't. So we came back here, and I'll B-roll some shots in right now. And if we look at what happened here, the body shop never put the wheel liner on for this passenger rear wheel. So now what happened is water got up into, I believe BMW uses a plastic collar. It's a 90-degree collar that allows that battery plus cable to come into the trunk and ultimately split and come up to your battery. It was corroded. So we 3D printed a connector to be able to, I guess you can say Band-Aid, and maybe that was a bad omen of things to come because it was only maybe a couple months later that this thing blew up. So here she is. It's not in the best condition. A lot of stuff has to get replaced. Trim, wheel liners, the wheels, all of these wheels are bent. They've been refinished twice already. So we're probably going to junk these wheels and get a set of replicas. We're not sure what we're going to do with the wheels yet. But let's talk about what we do know, what we're going to do. So let's go back up to the front. As you can see, it's missing an engine. And
no, where did it go?
Engine's gone. So engine's over here. We pulled it. I don't want to get too in depth in this video as far as the teardown goes on the motor. We'll do a separate video for that. But as you can see, she don't look pretty. Leaking everywhere. Every gasket, every seal, everything you can think of was leaking. And mind you, I actually attempted myself to refinish these valve covers. It didn't work. If we come around over here, you can see most of this may be some residual, but right here, I cleaned these valve covers thoroughly, and not even 5,000 miles later, they were leaking again. So that's back to the fact that these are magnesium covers, guys, and you usually cannot get away unless you send them out to be properly media blasted, which involves using glass beads or silica to properly restore this. So we are actually going to throw these right in the garbage and most likely run NRW Designs aluminum valve covers to circumvent this issue from happening again. We have an issue with the oil pan where I was in a rush and it stripped out. It was a really helicoiled, or time started rather. It was a time start failed. So it was a slow leak. I decided to put some JD Weld. That was probably another bad omen because it held, it didn't leak technically, and the engine blew up anyway. So we're going to have to reassess what we're going to do with the oil pan. Most likely send it out to someone who can weld aluminum and get a bung in there and get ourselves a new drain for our oil pan. So this engine is going to get fully torn down, all right? When we pulled the drain plug, well, rather, I take that back. I chiseled the JB Weld off of this drain plug to be able to get the drain plug out, and I said, you know what, let me just pull the oil level sensor, and my suspicions were correct. One of these injectors, I don't know which one, we'll flow test them to get to the bottom of it. One of these 8 injectors, or maybe more than one, failed, which is a common problem on the S65s, which is why you want to make sure that you make a fuel injector on your S65 a normal maintenance item. Make sure you have a facility that can properly flow test them and just put them on your list of shit that you need to do and replace your fuel injectors. When I pulled the oil level sensor and that oil that looked good came out into our drain pan, stunk like gas, reeked of fuel, which is most likely what happened here. So now we're going to tear this down, get into, check out our piston rings and see what the exact cause of failure was and rebuild it. So we have enough parts here to put something together and get an engine back in the car, and not the way most folks do it. Everything you see here is going to be replaced. We're probably going to end up buying a dry ice machine to go ahead and clean most of these surfaces, but new water pump, new pulleys, new tensioner, gaskets, O-ring, seals, nuts, you name it. If it needs to be replaced, we will replace it. Now let's go on back to the chassis. As you can see, we pulled the engine not only to rebuild it, but because we're going to repaint the entire vehicle. I'm not going to tell you guys what color yet. That's going to be for a different video.
Still undecided.
Still undecided. I could care less, but other folks that are involved seem to really be specific about what color this car needs to be painted.
That would be me.
That would be Elise, the camera lady right now. There's only one way to do this right. And a lot of folks will start to get the blue masking tape and garbage bags and newspaper, and you can't do that. That is the wrong way to paint the car. If you're going to go this deep, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears. If you're going to go through this entire process, do yourself a favor, strip the engine bay. All right, so here's the process that we are going to get involved in with the body shop. Pull the engine. As you can see, for the most part, obviously we have the subframe in because we want this chassis to be able to roll. And I have the power steering pump hooked up to the power steering cooler so that we can retain the ability to steer the vehicle with the steering wheel. I left the brake lines in because pulling the brake lines is going to be a disaster as far as not being able to stop the car. And I don't want to have an issue where we have brake fluid everywhere, at least in terms of moving it in the shop. So every single clip that holds the AC lines, our harness, headlight wires, the horn, every clip has been removed, okay? I'm going to give the camera lady a shot to get in here. We took off all the protective coverings, all the felt liners. Every single clip has been removed with the exception of some ground nuts that we just left on there. We're going to cap those bungs over there for our heater core. But what our body guy is going to do is, and we're going to document this process, he's going to come in here and he's going to primer the engine bay in the same exact color, or rather primer and then lay a base coat for the same color of the rest of the car. Obviously, we're not going to clear coat the engine bay because it's going to remain closed most of the time. But as you can see, the hood matches Interlagos blue. Okay, we want whatever color we choose. Let's just say we go with Alpine white, which we're not going to do. We're going to want to go ahead and get a base coat of Alpine inside this engine bay. So the only proper way to do that is to strip the engine bay down completely 100%, with the exception of a few things as you can see here, so that the body guy can do the body work in the car. We're going to throw the front bumper in the garbage. I'm not even going to show you that. We were hoping we could save it, but it's beyond savable. It's trash. We're going to throw the bumper in the garbage, get a brand new bumper, primer that bumper, paint it. But there's a lot of body work that needs to be done on this car. Exhaust hanger in the back, one of the studs is completely rusted. It's gone, right? So we're going to grind that down. He's going to do his magic at the body shop, and we're going to go ahead and weld a new stud on there. But send it to the body shop as you see it, like this. Do the body work, primer the engine bay. Car's going to come back here. And the reason we're doing it that way is when the car gets back to our shop, we're going to go ahead and drop in everything. A fully built engine. We're going to rip this stock struts and shocks out. We're going to throw them in the garbage. A genuine BMW. We're going to utilize Olin's R&T, also known as Olin's Road and Track coilover kit. Every single control arm is going to go in the garbage and be replaced. Plastics, just some odds and ends. For example, the cowl, right in the garbage. We have this weather stripping right here, right in the garbage. Nothing is going to be reused, okay? Because if you're going this far, you want to make it look like it did on day one. Now, do it once and do it right. Now, I do understand there may be some corners where we just will put the old part back in because you'll never see it. But if you're going to go this deep, spend this amount of money, time, and effort, you might as well be able to pop the hood on a project like this and go, wow, I have a brand new windshield cowl and wiper arms. The wiper arms are beyond faded. Throw them in the trash, get new wiper arms. All the splash shields in the garbage, new splash shields, because you can never bring those back to black as if they were day one. So when the car comes back, we're going to get everything back in the car, including cutting the roof off, putting the new roof on, taking the glass out, because this glass is original. This glass is from 2008. So what you have is you have pitting on the glass that you don't want to see. So the only way to get rid of that, you can't really fix that, you have to replace it. So new front glass, new rear glass, get the engine in, all the suspension components, a driveline, everything situated back to the body shop. This car is going to make 2 trips to our body shop. And the reason behind that is when the body guy does his magic on the final paint to coat, shit happens inside of a shop. You may rub up against a car, you could wrap it all you want. And that's the other problem on fresh paint, you don't want to put crash wrap onto it. That's not advised on a fresh paint job. So we want to give our body guy a vehicle that is ready to have a final coat of paint and have the engine, suspension, and driveline completely done. And then, once it's done at the body shop, we pick it up, and in theory, aside from a couple odds and ends, the car will be 95% drivable and done. So that is our plan. Timeline, we're probably looking at about a month, maybe 2 months before we get it back with all the bodywork and the engine bay primered with our base coat ready to drop our engine in. But with that being said, there may be some extended downtime in sourcing parts that we're going to need for this engine build because parts are not easy to come by for the older BMWs. And we do things right. We don't half-ass it, which means if we have to wait 2 weeks for one nut, we will wait 2 weeks for one nut. We won't go get the wrong size, the wrong thread, something used. We're not going to do it. All right, so we are going to ensure that every bolt is torqued to spec, every gasket that needs to be replaced will be replaced, O-ring that needs to be replaced will be replaced, and we do it the right way. As far as the final spec, we're most likely to keep it stock displacement. We're not really trying to get involved into a circa kit because, well, this is already looking at a $20,000 bill, and that's probably going to go up through the roof. So a circa kit's only going to add another 15 grand. We're not really planning to track this car. This is going to be something that we can just, it sounds great, it drives great, you don't need that much torque, and just enjoy it. Just have fun with the car and hold on to it for as hopefully, I don't know, it'll outlast us possibly, right? And pass it down to someone else in line to be able to enjoy it and drive the car. Stay tuned. It's going to be a pretty cool, I would say half a year. I'm going to be serious with you guys. This is not something that can be done in 2 weeks. Anyone that tells you otherwise is bullshitting you. Probably going to be a good 6 months before we have this thing back on the road. In the next video, we'll probably get involved with what the bodywork is looking like and what everything else is looking like in relation to how it all hands out. So stay tuned, sit tight, and take a look out for that next video.